Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I am so pleased to introduce to you this morning FL Steve Stevens. Many of you already know Steve from a lot of avenues that he's been involved in. He's been a businessman in this area for a long time. He was the owner of the Town and Country chain of convenience stores that were recently sold to Stripes. You might have known him as a friend and neighbor. He has property in a number of areas in West Texas. Or you might have known him through his work within his church and all of its missions. But however you knew him, you always knew that he was a very good guy. He was one of these West Texas products that people talked about as being one of those good old kind, salt of the earth guys. And he has, since he sold his business and retired, and I can say this really easily because we're the same age, just a few months separates our age, and so we don't try to impress each other. We've earned all of our wrinkles, but he has just taken time to write a book about some of the life lessons that he's learned as he's built a business, built a family. The people that he worked with, whether it was in his family or in business or where, what he learned as he went along to become successful. And that means managing your adversities as well as your successes. And the name of the book is When Opportunity Knocked. And when I read this book, the first thing I thought about is every person on my graduation list must have a copy of it, and all of the people having babies that I know. Every time we have a shower in our church, I'm going to give this book to them because it's a great handbook for young parents. And Steve, I am so pleased that you could take time to come and do this program with us and talk to us a little bit about the life lessons that you have learned and so generously shared with us in this book. And before we start, I want you to start with that wonderful story that's in the introduction of the book.
Sure. Well, thank you, John Glue. I'm very pleased to be here. I appreciate the invitation and look forward to this very much. The story you're referring to, of course, is really where the title came from, When Opportunity Knocked. After writing the book and determining what kind of title it should have, I reflected back on the fact that the book really is about an opportunity that came my way and my response to it. And I was reminded of a wonderful story that I've heard for years about this young guy who approaches an older man who was very successful in his business career and asked him how it was that he came to be so successful. And the older guy thought about it for a minute and said, well, when opportunity knocked, I just jumped. And the young guy thought about that for a minute and said, yeah, but how was it that you knew it was opportunity knocking? And he said, I didn't, I just kept jumping.
Kept jumping.
Right. And that's really the key for all of us. If we want to be successful, we just keep jumping. We take advantage of what situation presents itself to us at any given time. And as you very well know, those situations can change just like the weather.
And also those opportunities and people come to you and you don't always see them as opportunities.
That's for sure.
And so you've got to keep your mind open and receptive to the people around you and the things.
Yeah, you just really have to react to whatever situation presents itself and react in a proper, positive manner.
The older I get, the more I can look back on my life and see how God has placed people and events and opportunities in my life and how I missed some of them.
Yeah,
but how the ones that I didn't miss changed my life or made a difference or changed the trajectory of my life. And so I'm grateful that I saw as many as I did and wish I'd have seen more.
Right.
But you started your book, and this is really an autobiography with all your lessons sprinkled in, showing when and how and why and how it was reinforced over the years. So you started your book saying that you were born in 1938, and so talk a little bit about how the fact that you were born at the end of the Great Depression, at the beginning of World War II, how all of that impacted the way you were raised as well as how it shaped your life.
Well, you know, you and I can identify with this, and I've had any number of people in my age category tell me after reading the book,
related.
that could have been my story.
That's exactly
and
right.
because all of us came through that period of time, which was the Great Depression, which formulated the thinking of our parents and the way they had to live and the way they had to be very careful with expenditure of the very hard to come by funds in that day and time. And we were taught thrift, but far more than that, we were taught that we needed to learn to be dependent on our own capabilities, our own resources. We couldn't necessarily go to some other place, i.e. the government, to get some handout, that we needed to look for opportunities, and we were given wonderful opportunities by virtue of being born in this wonderful nation that we call home.
That's right, the best of all.
And it's up to us to take advantage of those opportunities.
I agree. And the other thing, though, is you were born into a family, as I was, that even though we had nothing, we had lots of love. We
Exactly.
had parents that gave us the self-confidence because there wasn't any question. Even when we were getting a spanking, there
That's
wasn't
right.
any question that we were really going to be taken care of, and it gave us our security to make decisions. And one of the things that I heard about you before I met you was that you were thoughtful and kind and good, and your employees loved you, and all of these wonderful traits. But I think that came from being in a family that treated you with respect, that loved
Absolutely.
you unconditionally, and
Without
so
a doubt. We were taught, if there's one lesson that immediately comes to my mind that resonates and that was there from the time I can first remember until after I left home, and that was our parents teaching us to live by the golden rule, to treat other people the way we would want to be treated if we were in the same circumstance. And I'm going to tell you, and you know this, Johnny Lou, as well as I do, if you treat your spouse, your children, your employees, the stranger you meet on the street, the way you would want to be treated if you were in the other shoes, then it's kind of hard to go wrong.
it smooths out the life's
It
past
truly
a lot.
does.
But also, Steve, one of the things that I think is a little bit advantage to us is we were taught more patriotism.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if it was because it was the beginning of the war, and then I lived through the end of the war and the Korean War and so on. But oh my goodness, we were so patriotic. I saved the tinfoil off of chewing gum wrappers if I ever
Yes.
got any chewing gum for
Exactly.
the war effort.
Right.
And the few pennies we had, we saved for war bonds and all of that kind of thing. So lots and lots of great stories. And and we're going to have to take a break right now, but when we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about how the foundation then was able, that you got in childhood, was able to take you through the unethical world and the uncaring world that you met day to day as you were growing up. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation with Steve Stevens.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.